Hey, it's Amy Newmark, and I'm taking this week off so I can work on our fall books. I've picked out one of my favorite weeks from last summer to rerun for you, and I'll be back next Monday with new episodes.
Changing your life one story at a time. This is the Chicken Soup for the Soul podcast with Editor-in-Chief Amy Newmark.
Hey, it's Amy Newmark with your daily dose of Chicken Soup for the Soul inspiration. It's Motivational Monday, and today I'm going to share a story that I think will give you a new perspective. It's all about slowing down and smelling the roses. This story is from a book I talk about a lot, Chicken Soup for the Soul, Find Your Happiness. And I talk about it a lot because it contains so many of my favorite stories about changing your perspective in a positive way. In this story called Life in the Slow Lane, Betsy Franz tells us about the day she ran out of gas, and it changed her life. Betsy was always running late, and she was having one of her normal rushed mornings. She was hurrying into the car. She drove as fast as she could to make up for the 5 or 10 minutes behind that she always seemed to be. She would always stress over the traffic lights and keep an eye out for the cops with radar guns, and her whole life was like this. She'd rush through grocery shopping. She'd race up and down the aisles in the store, throwing items in her cart. And that's really a shame because grocery shopping can actually be fun and interesting because you can look around and see what's new that you might want to try. She would also race through other kinds of shopping. She never got to go window shopping or take advantage of an unexpected sale. She just raced into the mall, grabbed what was on her list, and got out. So guess what happens to busy people who run around like that? Sometimes they don't even find the time to buy gas, which I understand. Since I always drive my husband crazy, I never want to fill up the car until we've got about 10 miles left on it because I figure if I do it that way, that's fewer visits to the gas station over the course of a whole year. Anyway, Betsy ran out of gas on her way to work one morning. She slammed the steering wheel in frustration. She had a meeting in 15 minutes, and she hadn't even finished preparing for it. So she got out of her car all upset. And then an amazing thing happened. She looked out towards the east, and she saw that the sun was starting to rise. And there was a beautiful misty fog hanging over the river. There were ducks swimming in it. They were making these cool trails across the smooth water. There were some sailboats anchored there, too, and their reflections were sparkling in that still water. And then the sunrise happened, and she was awestruck. Now, Betsy had been driving this route at this time every morning, and had never noticed that there was a sunrise. She had never paid attention. And here's what she wrote. This glorious scene had been going on right outside my car every morning, and I had never taken the time to see it. I had been rushing around in such a hurry to not miss anything that I had been missing everything. So Betsy was so enthusiastic about her discovery that she had this crazy idea. She wanted to shout at all the other drivers on the road and tell them, "Stop, look what's happening over here. You're missing it." But instead, she sat on the hood of her car, and she watched the sunrise, and she relaxed, and she stopped worrying about getting to that meeting. And then finally, one of Betsy's coworkers was driving by and recognized her car and pulled over and picked her up and took her to work. She left her car there, wishing that she could stay there with it and continue to watch the morning unfold and see what happened with the ducks and the boats and the river and the fog and all of the light. And she wrote in her Chicken Soup for the Soul story about the experience that she wanted to share this with other people because it changed her life so much. She started paying more attention to everything after that, including the people at work. She slowed down enough to get to know those people, and she started taking walks around her own yard and around her neighborhood, getting to see all the things that she had been missing there too. She even started listening to all the wonderful sounds around her. And she heard birds singing, the wind blowing, leaves rustling. Henry Miller said, "The moment one gives close attention to anything, even a blade of grass, it becomes a mysterious, awesome, indescribably magnificent world in itself." And that's how Betsy sees life now. She's no longer running like a hamster in an exercise wheel, never actually getting anywhere. She gets to work a few minutes late sometimes, and she doesn't stress about it. She takes her time in the grocery store so that she can discover what's available. And she spends time window shopping. She goes to the mall for special sales. She people watches. Tomorrow is Tip Tuesday. We're going to have another tip about how you can improve your life by saying goodbye to stress. And that involves looking at the trees, not the forest, which I know is not the conventional wisdom. I'm Amy Newmark. Thanks for listening to the Chicken Soup for the Soul podcast today. And if you wouldn't mind, make my producers happy and give us a review on the iTunes page. And if you'd like more tips from Chicken Soup for the Soul, Find Your Happiness, please go to our website, chickensoup.com.